10-string instrument. I listened to CNN last night, and that is supposedly a liberal cable network. And these learned individuals were given their response to a speech made at the Tea Party convention back in Nashville, Tennessee, where Sally and I had the privilege of being a few times, just a couple months ago. But they were there at the Gaylord Grand Ole Opry Hotel. And as these people in Washington, D.C., and then it switched back to New York, were making commentary on the former governor of Alaska, they had the commentary and stated that she had made a very controversial, radical speech. And I had sat there and listened to what she was talking about, and some of it was radical. And what they were talking about is radical for going back to the Constitution of the United States of America. And two or three, these analysts thought that was a radical thing to do, to go back to the place to where that we say that we have been endowed by our Creator. Not a Democrat, not a Republican. That's what's got them all confused. They didn't even know what to call themselves. So they said that they were a Tea Party without a leader. Confused as to who that they are, but not confused as to what they're trying to find. They're trying to find a way in the wilderness. An answer in the midst of confusion. Whenever our leadership and the leadership of other nations of the world do not have an answer. So she said that maybe we should go back to searching a simple faith in God and believing that God inspired our founding fathers to write a document that says we are free people and that we choose who we want to govern us. And someone tell me, he said, I can do whatever I want to do. It's none of your business. I said, I have no problem with that at all. If you want to go to hell, I don't care. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the Christian attitude. Now, wait a minute. Let's look at what we're talking about. We choose to be who we want to be. Yes. And we choose to believe what we want to believe until we believe something that causes us to become enslaved or captive. Captive to fear, captive to jealousy, captive to some type of a habit, and then we relinquish our freedom and we become controlled or captive. So while we are the land of the free and the home of the brave, not all of us are free, and certainly not all of us are brave. But whenever we know and believe that our Creator endowed us, put within us freedom and liberty, in other words, we are free moral agents, we choose to believe whatever we want to believe. The problem in America today is we are teaching and preaching that it doesn't matter what you believe as long as you believe something. maybe we approach the Constitution of the United States the same way. Doesn't make any difference how you read it, as long as you read it in a biased way to suit whatever you want. But that only leads to confusion. Hebrews, the 11th chapter and the 6th verse. We'll talk about something very basic this morning. Understanding who we are and why we are who we are. Paul said to the church of the Hebrews, he said to people that were of the Jewish faith, he that cometh unto God, but without faith it is impossible to please him. Yes. Doesn't make any difference how much we do cosmetically on the outside, or doesn't make any difference what we try to put on or take off. Without faith, yes, it is impossible to please him. Now, faith is action based on belief, sustained by confidence that what we believe is true. Yes. In other words, we believe God said something and we accept it and we act on it. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh unto God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. They had a big debate at Cal State University this last week. And they had one individual that made a free choice. I believe that God said, let there be light, and there was light. And another one said, no such thing, that there's not a God. Now, one has the beginning of his argument, and the other is floating around on a vapor. One said, I have made up my mind, I believe that there is a God. The other said, my religion is that there is no God. Now, both of them have made a choice. One choosing light and one choosing darkness. That gives us a right to make those choices. And as an American, we have a right to be whoever we want to be and whatever we can become. But he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. If we're seeking him, how do we know if we're in the right way? How do we know if we are on the right path? He said, according to his prophet, that he's going to make a way in the wilderness, that a fool, though a wayfaring man, shall not err therein. That means that Wayne Montgomery can find a way in the wilderness. A couple, 3 years ago, Sally and I were up at the North Pole at Point Barrow. And we go out there on the dog sled. And we get out there, and the guy that's owns the dogs in the sled, we're out. You look up and you look around, all you can see is white. Nothing else. No fence posts, no street signs, no direction. And whenever he asked Sally, said, I'm all there wrapped up in this grizzly bear hide, and he asked Sally if she would like to drive the dog. Why, yeah, I mean, she had to. So he reaches over while we're still doing 17 miles an hour, and he picks her up by the coat, lifts her up over, I don't know what they call them, handlebars, I guess, but lifts her up over them, and there we are out in the middle of nowhere.